Master, open my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When was Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission, can you get that phone out of here? The mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya. Give me shelter under his lotus feet. So first to the spiritual master, then to Rupa Goswami. Next. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother, Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishware Rishavana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Rishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desire of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavinda. I offer my obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So normally we chant all the Sanskrit before we start reading, but because we're reading the introduction, I'm reading the English also. So now it begins. Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Of course, there are many commentaries in English on the Bhagavad Gita, and one may question the necessity for another one. This present edition can be explained in the following way. Recently, an American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, in America, there are so many editions of Bhagavad Gita available in English. But as far as I have seen, not only in America, but also in India, none of them can be strictly said to be authoritative, because in almost every one of them, the commentator has expressed his own opinions, without touching the spirit of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So the first paragraph, first of all, Prabhupada says that the essence of Vedic knowledge, this is Gita Upanishad or Bhagavad Gita, and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. So we kind of looked up a couple of things about this Upanishad. In 1975, on a morning walk, Gita Upanishad is the substance and summary of all Upanishads. And Upanishads means Vedas. That is the Vedic knowledge. So Veda means knowledge, and the Upanishads, Prabhupada says, means Vedas. And the Gita Upanishad is the substance and summary of all Upanishads. So it's like the essence of all the Upanishads. You take this Upanishad or that Upanishad, the ultimate is Gita Upanishad, the final Gita Upanishad. Srila Prabhupada also said that. So this is just a little about the Upanishad. And actually, at the end of this, I'm just going to read one thing at the very end of this introduction. Savopanishado gavo dogda gopala nandandaha parto vatsa sudhir bhokta durgam gitamritam mahat. This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf, and learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. And that's from the Gita Mahatmya 6. So, because I had a particular question on this Bhagavad Gita, how it's an Upanishad, because 108 Upanishads, I don't think we don't believe that's part of the 108 Upanishads. So that's just the first paragraph. Rather than just keep reading, does anyone have any questions only, not comments, on this first paragraph? We'll have comments at the end when we're almost, when it's almost 8 o'clock. So any questions on this particular first paragraph? Or all the verses I read before that we read every day. Every day we have class. Okay, no. So I'll read some more. The spirit, I forgot part of that part of the paragraph is why is he wrote the English edition? Because there's so many
Right.
editions.
I was going to ask that question. When did he write this, Pyari? When did the American lady ask him, and when did he write it?
Oh, well, he wrote Bhagavad Gita even before that, because he wrote it when he was.
That's what I thought, and that's why I was
But then
confused.
he had to write it again because that one was stolen, or she
Oh.
sold it. His wife sold it, right? Was it a Bhagavad Gita translation?
I thought it was Bhagavatam.
That was Bhagavatam?
That's what I thought.
I don't know. Well, we don't know. But I'm sure this was like in 1966, probably. That's a very close guess. Doesn't really say when he wrote the introduction.
Okay.
Okay, but the English, why did he write another English edition?
No,
Because-
Pyari Prabhu, I had read somewhere that one time at the 26th 6th Avenue, there was nobody for the lecture. And that is the time he spoke to the four walls, and he translated this introduction into the dictaphone, and that became the Bhagavad Gita, introduction to Bhagavad Gita.
Where did you hear that?
I read it somewhere, I don't remember where.
Yeah, I'd like to
That-
know where, because I mean, when he got the dictaphone, by the time he got a dictaphone, there were so many people coming around then.
I know, but I think one day, one Sunday or Wednesday, like he was doing 2 or 3 days of the week, nobody showed up, and he was alone, and he
It's
just
possible, but
sent it to the four walls.
unless I know where it's from, I can't tell anybody else that, because I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
You got to find out. I'm not, I believe you read it, but I'd like to know where you read it, who said it.
I never remember. I'm sorry.
Write them down. I don't know where you got it from. Anyone else hear that? Maybe someone else knows. I know you read a lot, and I'm sure you read it, but who said it? I'd like to know. I'm not going to just accept something. I'd like to know that. Nobody knows. Well, we can always ask somebody like Jayadvaita Swami who was around at that time.
Maybe it would say in the Lilamrita. I can look it up.
I don't remember. We'll see if you can look it up. Oh. But why did he write Bhagavad Gita in English? Because none of them were really bona fide. I remember reading, I had a Bhagavad Gita before I became, contacted ISKCON. And it was a nice book, but it didn't really say anything at all. And it was very impersonal if you got anything out of it. But it was like cool, But there was nothing I read in it that made me think in any way that I should surrender to Krishna. That part was certainly not there. And even Krishna, who's Krishna? I don't know if I got that. So none of the English editions. So he had it right. And then when Prabhupada wrote this English edition, many people simply got the book from the library, not from the library, from a bookstore, purchased it, and became devotees. There's not one devotee ever came from any of these other Bhagavad Gitas in English. So it really makes a difference. Prabhupada is just not, he's empowered incarnation for writing these books. It's like Krishna wrote them so that we can hear what we really need to hear if we're sincere. Okay. The spirit of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself. It is just like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take the medicine according to our own whim or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the directions on the label or the directions given by the physician. Similarly, everyone can agree that's how you take medicine. Like for instance, you're taking some sort of steroids, you have to finish the whole thing. Don't think once you're whatever the problem was is gone, you could stop taking them. No, same with steroids and penicillin and that kind of stuff. You have to finish the whole thing. So you have to take it as the physician recommends. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself. So you accept Bhagavad Gita as Krishna saying it. The speaker of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Sri Krishna. He is mentioned on every page of Bhagavad Gita as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Of course, the word Bhagavan sometimes refers to any powerful person or any powerful demigod. And certainly here, Bhagavan designates Lord Sri Krishna as a great personality. But at the same time, we should know that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as is confirmed by all great acharyas, spiritual masters. It's nice because Prabhupada writes acharyas, and he's writing to the English people. When I could just say it's confirmed by all great acharyas, like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Nimbakar Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other authorities of Vedic knowledge in India. But Prabhupada puts acharyas and in brackets spiritual master for those who don't know what an acharya is. And there's so many different acharyas, many other authorities of Vedic knowledge who accept Bhagavad Gita. And they accept Krishna as Bhagavan. So the Lord himself also establishes himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad Gita. And he is accepted as such by the Brahma Samhita and all the Puranas, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Bhagavat Purana, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, we should take Bhagavad Gita as it is directed by the personality of Godhead himself. So Krishna is established as the personality of Godhead, not only in Bhagavad Gita, but also in all other Vedic literatures. So we have to accept this. And he's speaking. So God is speaking this. We have to accept that he says, as it is. In the fourth chapter of the Gita, 4:1-3, the Lord says, Imam Vishvasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manu Ikshvakave Bravid Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajashayo Vidu Sakalena Mahata Yoganasta Parantapa Sevayam Mayatedya Yoga Prokta Puratanaha Bhaktosi Me Sakacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Here, the Lord informs Arjuna that this system of yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, was first spoken to the sun god, and the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ikshvaku. And in that way, the disciplic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down. But in the course of time, it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So I spoke this to the sun god millions of years ago, and it came down in this order to Manu, to Ikshvaku, and eventually somehow it came down and it got lost. So now I'm speaking it again to you, Arjuna. So this is the parampara was broken. So therefore, Arjuna now becomes the first recipient of this Bhagavad Gita. So he tells Arjuna that he is relating this supreme secret to him because Arjuna is his devotee and his friend. The purport of this is that Bhagavad Gita is a treatise which is especially meant for the devotee of the Lord. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely the Jnani, the Yogi, and the Bhakta, or the impersonalist, the meditator, and the devotee. Here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he is making him the first receiver of the new parampara, the disciplic succession, because the old succession was broken. It was the Lord's wish, therefore, to establish another parampara in the same line of thought that was coming down from the sun god to others. And it was Krishna's wish that his teaching be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding the Bhagavad Gita. So we see that Bhagavad Gita is instructed to Arjuna, especially because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna, and his intimate friend. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is best understood by a person who has qualities similar to Arjuna's. So what are some of Arjuna's qualities? Anybody have any idea?
He was chivalrous and magnanimous.
Okay, that's something, that's good.
Compassionate, farsightedness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, compassion, especially in the beginning, he was so compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Foresightedness, yes, farsightedness, yeah. What else? Anything else?
Surrendered.
Friend and devotee.
What?
Friend and devotee.
Arjuna's quality, he's this Arjuna's friend, Sakha.
Oh yeah, to Krishna, he's Krishna's friend. Arjuna.
Yeah, Krishna's friend, Arjuna, and he's the pure devotee as well. That's the quality.
Well, pure devotee is not a quality.
I mean, that's what.
Pure devotee has certain qualities. But the pure devotee is a particular person, someone who's fully surrendered to Krishna. It's called a pure devotee. What'd you say, Julia?
Oh, I said
Oh.
surrendered.
She said he surrendered to Krishna. Of course, in the beginning, he wasn't so surrendered. He was more of a friend. But in the second chapter, then he actually what's the word? I mean, he was surrendered, but then he makes it official. He officially surrenders in the second chapter and sees Krishna as the guru, as the teacher, as the authority, no longer are just equal and friends. So he has so many good qualities. He has all the good qualities of the demigods. He has so many, I mean, he's really, really good. If you read, he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to do this all for material things. The first time I read Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I was on Arjun's side, and I was definitely not on Krishna's side in the beginning, because I thought Arjun was so great that he was willing to sacrifice everything, his life, his livelihood, not caring about any material things, just to do the right thing of not killing these nice people who was relatives and friends. I thought that was so great. But then he changed his mind after talking to Krishna, which, of course, that's more of a mundane view. It is good. It is very nice. But there's something higher, and that's doing what God wants. No matter what it is, that's the highest thing to do. So let's see.
So Pyari, I actually remembered Prabhupada published this in 1968. And I remember he asked Brahmananda to go to Macmillan Publishers.
Yeah.
And the Macmillan Publishers happened to be looking for a Bhagavad Gita to publish at the same time. So I think it was published in 1968,
Yeah.
at least.
I'd rather have comments later, questions now.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I just remembered that.
That's a very nice story, but I don't want to take the whole time now. We want to try to read some more of this. So, as soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, he also has a direct relationship with the Lord. That is a very elaborate subject matter, but briefly, it can be stated that a devotee is a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of 5 different ways. One may be a devotee in a passive state. 2, one may be a devotee in an active state. 3, one may be a devotee as a friend. 4, one may be a devotee as a parent. 5, one may be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjun was in a relationship with the Lord as friend. Of course, there is a gulf of difference between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is transcendental friendship, which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and that relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. But in the present status of our life, not only have we forgotten the Supreme Lord, but we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of the many, many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. That is called Swarup. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Swarup, and that stage is called Swarup Siddhi, perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjun was a devotee, and he was in touch with the Supreme Lord in friendship. So this Swarup Siddhi, this eternal relationship we have with Krishna, we may not know it in our conditioned state. Although we're devotees, we're not pure enough. But once we become purified, we can understand what our Swarup Siddhi is, what our eternal relationship with Krishna is. And once we do understand what our eternal relationship with Krishna is, then we follow in the footsteps of a devotee, of either a friend of Krishna, we can follow in the footsteps of Arjun, parent of Krishna, we can follow in the footsteps of Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj, a lover of Krishna, we follow in the footsteps of the gopis, and we try to learn from them how to behave properly in that relationship. We don't know that relationship until we're pure, because otherwise we start thinking we're a gopi and we just imagine that we're a gopi. And then you see me putting lipstick on or something. I mean, I don't know if they would do that, but there are people, that's of course way exaggerated, but there are people who artificially think that they have such a relationship with the Lord, and they don't, because they still have material desires. And therefore they act in such a way. And there are some bogus gurus, at least this part of being a guru maybe is bogus, is that they tell their disciples what their eternal relationship with the Lord is. And this is not done in our Vaishnava tradition. In other words, Srila Prabhupada tells me what my eternal relationship is with Krishna when I get initiated. Or the present guru, whoever it may be, Representative Prabhupada, when you get initiated, he tells you you're a gopi, or he tells you you're a blade of grass. I mean, imagine hearing you're a blade of grass. Oh man, everybody else is gopis, I'm a blade of grass. Because we're not ready to understand any of this. Better we don't know. And when we're ready, Krishna knows when we're ready, and he reveals it to us. But we should know for a fact that we do have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And gradually Krishna will reveal it to us. So any questions on that? As I said, no comments yet. Let me see, what time is it? I'll tell you if there's any comments. No comments yet.
Can I ask a question on the parampara that you said the parampara was broken,
Yes.
and that's why he spoke to Arjuna. And I
Yes.
was looking at the disciplic succession at the beginning of the book. So where was it broken? And Arjuna is not listed in that list of disciplic
Between
succession.
22 and 23. I don't know where it was broken.
It could be because that was Lord Chaitanya.
I don't know. I didn't look at the numbers. I
22 was Lord Chaitanya.
I don't know when it was broken. We don't even know what it was from the sun god millions of years ago. In our disciplic succession here, they're just giving the prominent people. They're not giving everybody. And
Right,
even
I
that
get
would be only 5,000 years. And how many people you got in there for 5,000 years? You know, I don't. 5,000 years, you got 32 people. So you divide 5,000 by 32. What do you get?
No
This doesn't
mathematician.
even go back 5,000, right? This goes back to Krishna, billions and billions and trillions of years ago, when Krishna spoke to Brahma. Now divide that by 32. These are only some of the prominent ones.
Yeah. Like there was a big gap where Madhva went up to Vyasadeva in Himalayas. Like there was a big gap there. So
There's got to be many gaps, unless there's one tremendous gap that's for millions and billions of years. But in any case, I don't know where it got lost. Somebody maybe, I don't know what they did. You know, I know this, and then maybe something happened. Krishna maybe they went to war and they died before they got to tell anybody about it. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, why it was broken. It doesn't say why it was broken, but it says it was broken. So we just accept
We'll
that. It
take
was
Krishna's
broken.
word for it.
Yeah, that's all we can do. It was broken.
and the other part of her question, she doesn't see Arjuna in the list, so he's in a different sampradaya.
Oh, Arjuna's not in the list. I think Arjuna is not the one telling this from Bhagavad Gita. It's Sanjaya telling it to Dhritarashtra, and then somehow it got broadcast all over.
But neither of them are on the list, though.
What?
Neither on the
Neither of them are on the list.
Yeah, well, when they told other people and somebody else that you don't see. It's trillions and trillions of years, and they're just putting the people you know on here, or people you should know on here. I mean, they could put Sanjaya or Arjun, but apparently probably wasn't Arjun. Where would it be? It would be after Vyas sometime.
Was Vyasadeva there at the time of
Vyasadeva is
when Krishna spoke this to Arjun?
yeah, he empowered Sanjaya.
Right. So maybe Vyasa is the one who's on this list, and his
Yeah,
leading disciple is Madhava. So that makes sense.
I don't know if his leading disciple is Madhava.
Well, the next number 5 is Madhava.
Yeah. No, but just because it's one after the other, there could be some in between, is what I'm saying. No, I don't think there is. Vyas and Madhava, I think, is correct. But I think there could be spaces in between too. Or there was
No,
other-
but what I'm saying is Arjuna and Sanjay are not listed because Vyasa empowered Sanjaya. So in a
Right.
sense, Vyasa
Probably.
is here.
I accept.
But Krishna spoke to Arjuna, so he would be after Krishna.
Yeah, it would have to have, if you wanted to do it, it had to be Krishna, Brahma, Narada, Vyas, then somewhere again, Krishna, Arjun, because Krishna spoke it again. He didn't just
Right.
once.
Right.
Yeah, different
Right.
lines.
Anyway, it's not, why don't you wait for, you get to the end of this chapter when someone else is giving class and ask them this question. Okay,
Not that important. I'm just curious. That's all.
well, you're not gonna find out, I don't think, your answer. But curiosity, that's one of the things. Why are you?
Kill the cat.
Killed the cat, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking. of.
curiosity killed the cat. Okay, anyway, how Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad Gita should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter, 10, 12 to 14. Arjuna vacha param brahma param dharma pavitram paramam mama bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam ajam vibhu ahustvam rashaya sarve devarshir naradastata asita devalo vyasa svayam chaiva pravishime Savam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidurdeva nadanavaha. Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyas, confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. So a few things here is that Krishna, Arjuna is saying how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he's not saying it just because he's his friend, but he's saying it because you are telling me, but not just because you're telling me. I mean, it is just because you're telling me, but he's saying all the great sages, such as Narada, Sita, Devala, and Vyas, they also say this about you, and now you're also telling me this. So they already told me this, and I've heard it from them, and now I'm also hearing it from you. So I'm not just, I mean, for those who, he can accept it just because Krishna said it, and we should accept it just because Krishna said it, whether we understand it or not. But he's saying for other people who may have their doubts, all these other great personalities also said the same exact thing, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, he's making it harder for somebody who's not a devotee to disregard this statement that Krishna is the Supreme. Because Krishna, I can say I'm the Supreme, and then somebody can say, and I accept this, you are. Who's going to believe that? But if so many great personalities actually said I was, people would at least, I mean, that would be ridiculous. They're not going to say it. But if they did say something like this about someone, then you would accept it. So you have told me, neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. So no one can understand Krishna's personality, except if Krishna reveals himself to the devotee. Then the devotee can understand his personality. So just going a little bit further, this introduction is kind of a summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita, and it's really packed with a lot of nice little facts that we should all definitely know. So any questions on what I just read? After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme Living Being, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Brahman. Param Dharma means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. Pavitram means that he is pure, untainted by material contamination. Purusham means that he is the supreme enjoyer. Shashvatam, original. Divyam, transcendental. Adidevam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, the unborn. And Vibhum, the greatest. So people are, let's see, if they're hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality, Arjuna accepted Krishna in this way. So Arjuna heard all of Bhagavad Gita, and after hearing it, he knew, without any doubt, what other people have also said about him, about Krishna, that he is the supreme, he's the purest. Everything, beautiful verse. Param Dharma, Pavitram, Uttama. Anyway, untainted by material contamination. Okay, I'm going to just read 2 more paragraphs. Whoever gives class tomorrow, the first chapter on page 7, the first paragraph on page 7. That's what I hope to get to here. Now, one may think that because Krishna was the friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. Yeah, sometimes our friends say nice things about other friends. Depends where you're from. Anyway, but Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of doubt from the minds of the readers of Bhagavad Gita, substantiates these praises in the next verse when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only by himself, but by authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. These are great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all acharyas. So these people, I mean, we should know all these people, Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. Everyone certainly knows Narada and Vyasa. So Asita and Devala are also great personalities who distribute this knowledge. So therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam etad manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand, and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. So it is very difficult to understand, but if you surrender to him, you can easily understand these things by his mercy. So this means that the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human beings. So how can a human being understand Lord Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee? So that's the whole secret. You have to become his devotee, and he reveals himself to you. And to the degree in which you surrender, to that degree, he will reveal himself. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So it's very nice that Prabhupada makes it so clear in the very beginning of the introduction of who Krishna is. He's not just an ordinary personality. You can't be equal to him. He's not just a great personality. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. Very factual. Emphatically, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada states this. So nobody can have some misunderstanding of who Krishna is. So according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or the statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Sri Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Important, at least theoretically. So, okay, I don't really accept Krishna as God, the supreme personality of Godhead, but I want to read this and try to understand it. So in theory, okay, I'm gonna accept Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, I'm gonna accept that. Even if I don't completely really accept it, at least to understand the book, I'm going to accept it. So I think to understand it theoretically, okay, in theory, I accept, okay, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Now let me read the book with that way of thinking, and then I'll be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita better, or understand the Bhagavad Gita perfectly. If I understand that and I read it with at least theoretically, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. That's a big secret. You have to read it submissively, not challenging. Even challenging, if you're challenging, there's two ways of challenging. One is even when you question, you shouldn't question challengingly. If you don't understand something, you should question it. This doesn't seem to make much sense to me. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm not sure if it's me or what, but it doesn't make sense. Can you explain this? That's okay. It may seem a little challenging, but it's okay because I'm trying to learn it. But challenging is whatever you say, you just come up with some argument against it, even though it doesn't, the arguments don't make sense, or you're just doing it just to challenge, not to really learn. So we can question submissively. That's the way we should question. And then we can actually learn more of the Bhagavad Gita. So now I'm going to see, I may read the next page too, finish this page, but I'm hoping someone has some questions or comments. Now we can hear comments. And if Gita Mala would like to tell that. First questions, if anyone has any questions, give it a minute or 30 seconds to ask a question. If you don't ask, then we're going to go on with comments. So Bhagavad Gita of Srila Prabhupada made everything very clear, so no one has any questions. Okay, comments. Oh, wait, we may have a question here.
No, it's a comment that
Oh, it's a
about
comment.
why, if you want to know about why is Arjuna's name not mentioned in the Guru Shishya Parampara in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the spiritual scientist, our Chaitanya Charan, on his, he has a podcast about that. If you go to thespiritualscientist.com, you can listen to it and see what he says. I haven't listened to it, so I can't tell you.
Oh,
But the question has been asked, so the answer is in the ether somewhere.
oh, so I was not the only curious cat, huh?
Right, there are some other doubting souls.
I'm not doubting. I'm not
I'm
doubting.
joking, I'm
Just
joking.
curious.
So, I'm a joking soul. No, but we don't, I mean, I wouldn't say the answer is there. I'm saying he's probably got some answer there. I don't know. I didn't hear it, so I don't know.
We don't know what he says.
We don't know if it's the correct answer or the only answer, or if it even is an answer, but I'm assuming it is because he wrote that. but you have to go check it out.
Okay, I'll check
So
it
that
out.
goes, that's the best answer you're gonna get right now for your question. But if you want to tell about Macmillan, and then I'll
Yeah,
add. straighten
I
it up.
remember it now. I think it is in the Leelamrita or one of Prabhupada, those Leela books, you know, that
There's
people
so many
wrote.
places
No,
it's written.
There's
Brahmananda.
so many places. Brahmananda, yeah. Prabhupada asks him to go to Macmillan. Brahmananda almost doubts, like as if I can just walk into
Actually, that
Macmillan.
didn't really happen.
No?
No. They bought a record. We sold records, some Krishna conscious records. And
Uh-huh.
someone who worked at Macmillan purchased the record.
But can I interrupt you a minute? I just listened to this because
Oh.
I was going to tell the story on Saturday. But, now I can't.
Oh, you were going to tell this story?
Well, first Prabhupada asked Allen Ginsberg if he could publish the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
And Allen Ginsberg was actually pretty enlivened about the idea, you know, because he did some publishing. He had many things published, but he tried and nobody was interested. He tried for a long time and then he lost interest himself. And it was handed over to Roy Ram, who was working on, you know, publishing the Back to Godhead and stuff like that. So he had some experience, but he also wasn't able to get it published. And then finally it was given to Brahmananda. Prabhupada asked Brahmananda, and Brahmananda had no experience in publishing whatsoever. And he would go to the library to read about it. He went to publishers and tried to get it published, and he wasn't getting any success. He went to bookstores and everything. And then finally, at the same time, they were also selling the Happening album that the devotees put out. And an order came from Macmillan. And Brahmananda went in and told Prabhupada that we received an order from Macmillan for one of the Happening albums. And Prabhupada told him to deliver it in person. And he told that Prabhupada told him to tell them that we have a Bhagavad Gita. And he said, Brahmananda asked him, oh, should I take the manuscript? And Prabhupada said, no, just tell them we have a Bhagavad Gita. And so Brahmananda went there. He put on a suit and tie, and he went to Macmillan. And he was a little disappointed to find out that it was just an accountant who had ordered the album. And so he gave it to the accountant, and he was talking to the accountant for some time. And while he was talking there, someone came up to the desk, and the accountant introduced him and told him that this person was the senior editor for Macmillan. And he said, senior editor? And he introduced Brahmananda to him. And Brahmananda right away said, we have a Bhagavad Gita. And the editor said, you have a Bhagavad Gita? We've been looking for a Bhagavad Gita. He said, they would finish our religion department. It's by an Indian Swami. He's here in New York. He said, we'll publish it. He said, just like that. He didn't ask to see it. He didn't ask anything. And Brahmananda was like so happy. You know, he practically ran back to tell Prabhupada, you know, he was so excited. And he went in and he told Prabhupada, they'll publish it. And Prabhupada just nodded and acted like nothing happened.
I know.
You know, he was,
Prabhupada knew.
well, yeah. And Prabhupada, he's just so equipoised. In happy, he's not disturbed in happiness or distress.
Distress.
You know, same at all the time.
But I have a feeling Prabhupada knew they were looking for Bhagavad Gita.
I think when Prabhupada saw Krishna just doing it all,
Yeah.
and it was Krishna, how else can this have happened? An accountant orders a record, and he tells him, just tell him we have a Bhagavad Gita, and then
and he happens
the
to introduce
editor,
him to the
the
senior
main
editor.
editor
Happens to.
happens to come at the same time while he's talking to the accountant.
Yeah.
It's like Krishna just made all these arrangements because Prabhupada wanted this book printed. So Krishna made all the arrangements to get it done, to try to please Prabhupada. And Prabhupada did the whole thing just to please Krishna.
Right. So amazing.
I think initially they said that they have a rule that every book should be less than 400 pages that they publish. So somebody actually had to, Prabhupada's book was much more than 400 pages. So somebody had to edit Prabhupada's
Right. The
book.
unabridged edition was printed in 1972, it says.
Yeah, and
The unabridged
Who did
edition.
that
Yeah.
edition, editing of the book, cutting out the commentaries?
here it says that the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita was written in 1968.
Yeah.
No. The full unabridged
No, I
version
know,
was
I'm talking
published.
about
Talk about the
Sudevi Priya.
introduction. What we're reading now was written in 1968.
Yeah, Sudevi Priya was saying something like Prabhupada gave a lecture and no one was there, and it ended up being the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. But on Krishna.com, for the book Introduction to Bhagavad Gita, they say that as his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, let me get rid of that. Yeah. It says that before he even knew if he'd be able to publish the entire Gita and included within it the
Don't pick it up. Yeah, like that.
it says that Prabhupada wrote the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita in 1968 as his introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is, before he knew if he'd be able to publish the entire Bhagavad Gita. So he wrote the whole essence of the Gita in the introduction. So here it says he wrote it, not spoken.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know because it's a really nice story, but I'd like to know where you got it. Sudevi Priya, if you could possibly find that. I don't know how you could possibly do it because you read like everything.
I don't know if I read it or heard it, but I definitely, it did register. I don't know who said it. I don't remember. It could be in a lecture, some Swami said it, or it could be I read it somewhere, but I heard it from some source that it's not that, maybe he tweaked it and he rewrote it or something, but one day there was nobody and he said if there's nobody, preach to the four walls. So he was just, making his own thought, and that became the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, or part of the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. In other words, he was not discouraged if nobody showed up. He would still continue his program and still do it as a service to Krishna. So he wrote it, or he spoke it, or he did something, but there was nobody one day, and instead of being disappointed, he used that time to, and that
I know,
became
but
part
we
of.
can't accept. We can't really accept that when we don't know.
I know, but I can't tell you where I heard it or read it, but I did hear it either from a Swami's lecture or I read it somewhere. I don't remember.
Yeah, I've heard that he has said that. Everyone's there, preach to the four walls.
Yeah,
I've heard that,
no, that's
but not
saying
in
about
that
preaching to the
context.
four walls. He said that more than once.
But not in the same
He
context.
said where was it? In Boston when they came and they said, we're sorry that not many people came. He said, what? You didn't see? Narada Muni was here. I think Brahma was here. You didn't see them? And Prabhupada said that. So great personalities may come, and that's why they needed room, because they have bigger bodies. So they
Okay.
no, so anyway, they would preach or preach to the walls. He said that. He definitely said that. But I don't know about,
I've never heard that.
yeah, neither of us
It'd be
have heard that.
interesting, though, to find
And
out.
I think we would have heard that, being around for so many years. No, that I would remember. That's something you don't
Yeah, like
forget.
the Conway Hall, the introduction to the Ishopanishad, that was a lecture,
Well, maybe she's getting that mixed up.
maybe.
What was the lecture?
The introduction to the Sri Ishopanishad. The introduction to the Sri Ishopanishad is a lecture at Conway Hall in England.
Yeah, that I might have read too. Yeah, I don't know if I mixed it up. I don't know. I could potentially, but I mean, he has given so many lectures and done so many things at this point. I'm sure everything is recorded. Somebody has a record of it.
Well, I don't think anybody recorded that one when nobody was there. Anyway, any other comments? Gita Mali, you had your comment and Jiva took it away.
Yeah, glad. She gave the detailed answer. I mean, I had heard it as Brahmananda and he was so excited. And
Yeah.
when he went there, they were actually looking for Bhagavad Gita, but I'd forgotten the details of how he was introduced to the senior editor and all that.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, I
nice.
just heard it.
Yeah, I read it too somewhere. I don't remember where, but that story where he went in a suit and everything and was, normally he doesn't dress in a suit, but that particular day, just to impress, he dressed himself in a suit.
It might have been in Brahmananda's autobiography or in the Lilamrita. I can't remember.
Well, it's on the memories. I don't know. They
Oh,
also
it's in the memories.
book form, some of them. The memories. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's in the it might have been in the memories tapes too, the recorded thing.
That's where I just heard it. Ramananda's relating his memories. He has wonderful memories.
He had so many wonderful
Yeah.
memories. Guru Das
You know,
also had so
His
many.
Prabhupada told him to bow down to his mother
Yeah,
every time he saw her.
she didn't like it.
No.
You hear
You
that?
didn't like it?
His mother
She
didn't
didn't
like
like
it.
it.
No, she's a Westerner. What are you bowing down to me? It's like,
But I liked her answer when Prabhupada asked her to give a donation. She
Yeah.
said, haven't I given you enough?
gave you two sons.
Two
and that's
sons, yeah, Brahmananda and Gargamuni.
So it was Krishna. Prabhupada did it just to get it to
Acknowledge
give her
they're
sons
his
to
now.
him. Now, but she makes so much advancement. She gave her two
Yeah.
sons.
And he smiled.
He was expert. Okay, so I guess we can end. Any other last chance for comments or a question? Okay, 8:00. Let's offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees to the Lord.
Vaishnava